And this is a mystery box.
Or the mystery box.
What's in the box?
Mystery box could be anything. It could even be a boat.
Hey everyone, welcome back. It's another episode of Mystery Box Comics. The last one was a little bit of a disappointment, not a huge disappointment, but after episode 7, we wanted episode 8 to be really good, and it wasn't. So we're going to keep going with this box and see if the rest of it won't be a little bit better for us. So I'm going to get started. Just in case you didn't know the story, my dad needed more space. My sister Martha sent me my dad's comic book collection, and we're going through it on YouTube. So first up, looks like some Green Arrow mini-series comics in that 60-cent range. Pretty good shape, even though they're not in bags, so that's kind of nice. New Mutants 72. Night Stalkers. This is a very 90s-y title. Oh, Spider-Man that looks older than it is. A buck that's, I want to say late 80s or early 90s. X-Factor. Spectacular Spider-Man with the Rhino. Bent up. This bottom right corner is really bent up. That's a bummer. Alpha Flight. I think we might have run into an Alpha Flight in the past. These guys were like the Canadian X-Men. There's Puck. North Star. North Star got a little bit of a revitalization in the I don't know, what do you call 2010 to 2020? He came out as gay. He was not the first, but one of the first openly gay superheroes. Wendigo. Cool. Some more Uncanny X-Men. Oh, cool. Look at this. I mentioned this in another video. I knew this was going on. This was a photorealistic cover of The Amazing Spider-Man special issue. It looks like someone figured out Peter Parker's identity. I don't think this is valuable at all, but I'm gonna be excited to see what's going on with this. Look at that belt buckle. New Defenders with Angel and Beast and Iceman. Here's Uncanny X-Men. I think I remember this issue. In this issue, Juggernaut is a big fan of Dazzler, and he comes to try to get her autograph and like hang out with her, and she thinks he's a supervillain because he is one, and they fight. More Uncanny X-Men. Here's Mr. Sinister. This is the start of Inferno. More Uncanny X-Men. X-Factor. Early New Mutants. Looks like Cannonball and Wolfsbane versus Silver Samurai. I don't know if you guys have seen the trailer for this movie, but you should check it out. It looks like it's going to be a special kind of bad. Or not. Who knows? I don't know. Uncanny X-Men. Annual Uncanny X-Men. Here's some old Iron Man. I'm actually not super familiar with Iron Man. I'm only aware of the one cover with Tony Stark and the bottle of booze. It's the only one I know about. Here's Iron Man versus Machine Man. I'm not entirely sure, but I think Machine Man might have been a character that was introduced in the Marvel comic books adaptation of 2001: A Space Odyssey, and then everyone really liked him, so he hung around. I could be wrong about that. Here's Iron Man in the clutches of Obadiah Stane. That was the bad guy in the first Iron Man movie, played by Jeff Bridges, who was great. X Factor. More Iron Man. This looks like it was part of that whole alcohol subplot. I don't know. We'll find out. Here's some old Thor. I love old Thor. Yeah, look at this. Look at those dog monsters. That's awesome. Huge fan of old Thor. Amazing Spider-Man. The Sinister Syndicate. Alien Legion from Epic Comics. Some early 90s Ghost Rider. Ooh, here's another What If. What if the Avengers had become pawns of Korvac? I don't remember Korvac, so I don't know. Wolverine. 90s X-Men. Here's a team-up, Spider-Man and the Human Torch. Here's a Tales of the Teen Titans. Whenever I see this one, for some reason I think this is going to be the first appearance of Deathstroke, but it's not. It's way after Deathstroke first appeared. And our hunt continues. I think we're only missing one of the limited 4-issue series, Jack of Hearts. I couldn't tell you which one we're missing, though. Okay. Let's do the next stack. Awesome. More Thor. That's Beta Ray Bill. And Stormbringer. I don't know, is that the first? Is this the first Stormbringer? That'd be kind of cool. We'll find out. Some more X Factor. Early Uncanny X-Men. Oh, I remember this series. I used to read this series a lot. This was Kitty Pryde. Well, folks, this is the episode where we all learn what happens when the host doesn't make sure there's enough space left on the memory card. I'm pretty sure it was right around here that we got lost talking about Kitty Pryde and Wolverine. Now, if your only exposure to the X-Men is the 90s cartoon or the movies, well, actually not the movies as much, but in the cartoon, Wolverine and Jubilee had a very paternal relationship with him kind of teaching her. But in the comic books, it was Kitty Pryde who came first. She got trained to be a fighter by Wolverine, and it was in the series where they did that. I think she got possessed by some sort of demon or something, so he takes her to Japan and teaches her to master her mind and teaches her how to fight. I remember really loving this series when I was a kid. We'll see if it stands up. Some more early X Factor. Not number 6. Very early Hulk. Fantastic Four versus the X-Men. I think we've seen a few more of these. New Defenders. We've seen that before. Assistant Editors Month. Sometimes these are really goofy and weird. Doesn't look like this one is. Let's see. Some 90s Fantastic Four. New Mutants. Kind of all over the place. We're not running into any like bricks of any one title. X Factor, Fantastic Four versus the X-Men, West Coast Avengers, Daredevil. This is the brick that I was talking about in prior to video 7 too. None of these are in bags. Here's Balder number 4. That's cool. Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man. The Amazing Spider-Man. This one has some damage on the spine here at the bottom left, around the staple. There we go. There we go, focus. Versus the Will-O-Wisp. This features a 16-page bonus insert on how to collect comic books, so good for me. New Mutants, Spectacular Spider-Man. Oh, looks like Aunt May got beat up in this one. That's no good. Some new Defenders with Valkyrie, and I think that guy's name is Gargoyle. He's a Marvel equivalent of Etrigan. If I remember right, this character is like an 80-year-old man or something that gets cursed. I don't remember. So he's just, it's kind of funny sometimes because he's like this codgery old grump. Hey, look at that. Oh, that's a bummer. This is a super iconic cover with Ant-Man riding on Hawkeye's arrow. But the condition of this comic book is not good. Lots of, I mean, with a white background like this, there's lots of color anyway, but there are some significant creases and stuff. That's a bummer, but it's still really cool. More early New Mutants. Here's a McFarlane cover in not too terrible shape. There's some discoloration on the spine that I'm not super happy with, but it's kind of cool. Dazzler. Let's see. I think this is a reprint. This is not. This seems like it's in too good a shape to be this cover of Green Lantern and Green Arrow. This is the episode, or the issue rather, where Green Arrow finds out that his ward Speedy is a heroin junkie. I think I'm 95% sure that's a reprint, or yeah, a reprint. Amazing Spider-Man with the Rose, a dinged up Daredevil, a couple dinged up Daredevils with Wolverine. Those are cool. Spectacular Spider-Man. Look at that cover. It's kind of neat. Web of I think we've hit all the big Spider-Man titles here. We've got Peter Parker, Amazing, and Web of. Here's the Black Cat. Oh, hey. Is that the first appearance of Cloak and Dagger? I'm gonna be pretty stoked if that's the first appearance of Cloak and Dagger. That would be such an awesome comic book to have, and in, okay, I almost said great shape, but there is a bend on the bottom right here. Come on. Focus for me, camera. Focus. There you go. There's a bend there on the cover that's not great, but otherwise in really good shape. I really hope that's the first appearance of them. More Spectacular Spider-Man, more dinged up 90s X-Men, dinged up 90s Spider-Man, Spider-Man and Daredevil team up. Here we're getting into some more 90s stuff. Wolverine, Web of Spider-Man, Uncanny X-Men. This is an older Web of Spider-Man. Tombstone. Team up with Nick Fury. That's kind of cool. team up with Iron Man. Oh, and a very cool Web of Spider-Man cover. Well, I think that is that's enough to look at for now. So let's. I'm gonna do the research. I'll do the research. I'm gonna clock wipe. I'll be right back. All right, we're back with some more super fun stuff. It is raining now, and I'm out in the garage, so if you hear it, it's rain, not something more, I don't know, nefarious. Okay, I've done my research, so we will talk about the things that I've researched. First, I wanted to mention this again. Not particularly valuable, just I couldn't be happier to see these. These are so much fun. I was looking at what it would cost to purchase the rest of the series in the event that I don't find them, but considering we are only 2 boxes in at this point and we've got 4 more to go, I am hopeful that we will find the rest of the series. So for now, great to see them, really happy, just a fun piece of my childhood that maybe I can revisit once I get the rest of them. Next up, Avengers 223. I found this even in pretty poor condition, selling for close to $20. And it was reprinted as part of the Marvel Legends series. I think it's just that cover, right? That cover is so cool. This was Hawkeye shooting Ant-Man on his bow. This happened in one of the Avengers cartoons, too. I mean, just like super fun. So much fun. So this is another one I'm really excited to add to my collection. Next up, we've got Green Lantern and Green Arrow. This is indeed a reprint, and I should have known 100% that it was a reprint as soon as I picked it up. Not only is the cover slightly different than the original printing, but this is both issues of this comic book reprinted, where Green Lantern and Green Arrow confront Speedy and find out that he's a heroin addict. A really cool comic book touching on how comic books going back decades have really, keyed into what's happening in society. So sometimes you hear people talking about how comic books shouldn't be political. It's nonsense. Comic books have always been political. They've always talked about things like race and belonging and drug use. So, nonsense. Comic books are inherently part of the thread of politics and society. So, Thor 339, I was correct. Ooh, the light on this one is not very great, is it? This is the first appearance of Stormbringer. In the Marvel movies, it's a giant axe. Here, it's this kind of interesting half hammer, half axe. And this is what Beta Ray Bill wields. This is really exciting because it's only a few issues before this. I believe Thor 336, I could be wrong, that is the first appearance of Beta Ray Bill. So hopefully the rest of this box has that in it. This is a super cool character. He's, this bizarre alien horseman that is capable of lifting Mjolnir. And, I mean, just super neat. So hopefully we find that. That would be kind of a cool addition. Lastly, and I say lastly loosely because this is going to take a while, we're going to get into some Spider-Man stuff. So first up, we have Peter Parker's Spectacular Spider-Man 132. This is the conclusion of one of the best, if not the best, Spider-Man story arc of all time, Kraven's Last Hunt. Kraven the Hunter was a really kind of weird Spider-Man villain, but in Kraven's Last Hunt, he's sick and he wants to get his revenge on Spider-Man. Super great story. So here's the last part of it. Worth a little bit more than your average comic book, but worth mentioning just because of the historic value. Kraven's Last Hunt is fantastic. Spectacular Spider-Man number 90. This is a Black Cat-centric issue This is the Black Cat kind of running all around New York trying to find Spider-Man. Spider-Man only appears in the very last page, and when he does so, he is in his black costume. This is part of the series of the first appearance of that black costume. Next up, we've got Web of Spider-Man 36. I grabbed this one because it's the first appearance of one of my favorite street-level villains, and I would have never known this because, first of all, I mean, he doesn't appear in this comic book very quickly, but secondly, I'm used to him being a Punisher villain, and he's right there, he's Tombstone. And he's got like diamond hard skin and a scary monster face. But this is it. This is his first appearance in Web of Spider-Man 36. Next up, we've got Amazing Spider-Man 302. Like I said, this is that McFarlane cover, so worth a little bit more even in kind of chunkier condition like this, just because those McFarlane covers are really sought after. People really like them. Then we'll do Amazing Spider-Man 253. This is the first appearance of the Rose. No one cares because no one knows who the Rose is. I mean, he's almost not even worth talking about. It was sort of like maybe a pivot away from the Kingpin, like he would be this crime boss, but he was super smart and conniving and a mastermind, and I don't know, it was all kind of maybe tedious is the right word. I don't know. He wasn't great, but his first appearance, so a little fun. And then Amazing Spider-Man 280, the first appearance of the Sinister Syndicate. This was a group of Spider-Man villains, I think prior to the Sinister Six. I think so. I think that was post Amazing Spider-Man 300 that they appeared. Anyway, because we've got all these Spider-Man comic books, I wanted to talk about why there were so many titles. You have here all being published at the same time: Peter Parker the Spectacular Spider-Man, Web of Spider-Man, and The Amazing Spider-Man. Why were there so many different Spider-Man titles happening all at the same time? Because Spider-Man is the best superhero of all time. He's not my favorite. He's not the strongest. He's just the best. Kind of unequivocally the best, too. He's relatable. He's, vulnerable. He recognizes that he's flawed and he always tries to do better. That's why they could print 3 separate titles all at the same time. These are all coming out every month. I think for a while Amazing Spider-Man was coming out twice a month. And people still bought them en masse. People still wanted more Spider-Man comic books. That's why he showed up in all those other issues too. Marvel team-ups, Marvel Tales. People just wanted more Spider-Man all the time. So Marvel tried to give people as much Spider-Man as they could possibly take, and this is what happened. Three simultaneous titles going out at the same time, and these were all printed for years. I mean, obviously, The Amazing Spider-Man is still printed. I'm not buying comic books currently, but, I wouldn't be surprised if there were 2 or 3 different Spider-Man titles all being printed right now. That's it for this video. Hopefully running out of card space halfway through didn't totally bork it. I guess we'll find out. In the next video, we'll finish this box, and hopefully we'll find some of the missing comic books that we're looking for. I'm looking for Thor 336 in the rest of this box, and I wouldn't be mad if we found the rest of those Wolverine and Kitty Pryde ones either. So, thanks everyone. Bye.